I hosted my own instance of Google Photos using Immich, and in this video, I'm going to show you how you can do the same. If you're new here, I'm Steve, and this is PageKey, where we take back tech. In this video, I'm going to show you how to self-host something, but if you don't want to go through all that, you can go to the link in the description, and I'll get you a pre-built box that you can just plug in and use. Before we start, if you want to just buy the box, go ahead over to tryhexbox.com/photos. I'm only selling one to start with. In the future, maybe I'll sell more, but trying to get the first one sold, so check it out. And then we're going to install the operating system on the box that you're trying to set up. We'll set up SSH and Podman so that we can SSH in remotely, and Podman is going to run the containers for Immich, and then we'll install Immich itself, get it configured, and I'll show you how to recover from a power failure, which is good to know. And then in the future, I'll show you how to do backups. 3-2-1 backups just means that you're never going to lose your stuff, and we'll make it so that you can access it anywhere with your own VPN. So that'll be fun. Let's get into it. Here's everything we need to get this done. We have a keyboard and mouse. That's very simple. We have the server that you're trying to image, a HexBox in this case, but it can be a laptop or a server or whatever. We need a USB drive. I would recommend at least 16 gig. Maybe you can squeak by with 8 gig, but just go for the bigger one. And we have a portable monitor. You can also just use a regular monitor. Anything with an HDMI cable is fine, and it came with a power cable as well. This is all we need. So let's get into what to do. The nice thing is, once you've configured this, all you need is the power cable. Just plug it in and put it somewhere, and you can get to it remotely. First things first, let's download our operating system image. You can just hit download on debian.org, or if you're not sure, look in the bottom left there. You can see it's downloading for AMD64. If you want another architecture, go to download mirrors, go to your country, and I'm going to go to a familiar name here, Berkeley, and I'm going to go to 13.5.0 AMD64. This is where you could select ARM or some other architecture if you want. And I'm going to go into ISO CD, and I'll download this one, Debian 13.5.0 Net Installer. If you're running this on Windows, once that's done installing, we're going to need to go get Rufus. You can go to rufus.ie/n or just Google Rufus and see what comes up. And we'll just hit download. You can grab the portable version, the P, if you don't want to run an installer, or you can just download the regular one. So I'm just going to download that top one. Next, go grab that flash drive. Kiss anything you have on here goodbye, and then go ahead and plug it into your laptop. Great work. We have all the files we need. Double click and launch Rufus. You'll have to run it as an administrator. And now you should be able to select your flash drive from the drop down. Here's my 128 gig one. You should not see your hard drive, so definitely don't accidentally image your hard drive if it happens to show up here. And then for ISO image, I'm going to hit select. I'm going to double click on our ISO that we just downloaded, and it's all loaded up. We probably don't have to mess with any of these other values, but if you have trouble booting, we might need to come back and try GPT, for example. It depends on your hardware. But I would say on your first try, leave it exactly as it is and hit start. And again, you can try it in ISO mode. If you have trouble, you can try DD mode. I think you'll be fine in ISO mode. Hit OK. And if it wants to download grub from the internet, I would say let it go ahead and do it. Again, it wants to download some more things. Let it do it. And now this is your last chance to save your precious family photos off of this flash drive. I don't know why you put your only copy there, but this is going to wipe it. There it goes. It's gone. So just let this run. And it's done, so you can hit close and you're ready to boot. On Mac and Linux, it's the same deal. Go ahead and download that ISO file. Once again, go ahead and plug in your USB at this point. Now that you've plugged it in, let's go identify that drive. If you're on Linux, you'll use ls block, but we're on Mac, so we'll use disk-util list. We can see the onboard drives, and then we have this external drive. So what we need is /dev/disk4. Next, we'll need to unmount the drive. On Linux, this is going to be sudo umount /dev/disk4, or in your case, it's probably something like sdb1, sdb, something like that. Since we're on Mac, we'll use disk-util unmount disk /dev/disk4. Get the operating system to release it so that we can do crazy things to it. On Linux, your command to write the disk will look something like this. We're going to dd, input file is our ISO, output file is sdb or whatever your drive was identified as. These are all going to stay the same, buffer size and status, and you have this little extra oflag sync. Now let's see what Mac looks like. Mac is almost exactly the same. We're going to sudo dd, input file is still the ISO, output file a little different, /dev/disk4 was what we identified in the previous step. We're going to use rdisk4, which stands for raw disk4. It should be a lot faster. It bypasses the OS, talks directly to the hardware, and we'll let it sync up once we're done. Buffer size is still 4, status is progress, and we do not need that output flag. So let's hit enter and enter a password and let it go. Allow terminal access, and off it goes. We'll wait for this to complete. Okay, and now we can ignore this and move on. The last step here is to enter sync. It's the same on Linux and Mac, and that's going to make sure that this is done writing before we disconnect the drive. So I think we're good now. Next, take the server or laptop that you're imaging and go ahead and plug in the drive. In this case, I'll also plug in the video, the monitor, the keyboard, and the mouse. Finally, we're ready for some power. Plug that power cable in and hit the power, or it might start booting on its own. And as it's coming online, hit escape a lot, or it might be F12 for your device. That's gonna get you to the boot menu. And then I'm gonna hit the left arrow to go all the way to the right-hand side there. I'm gonna go up, and you can see this vendor C product code. This is my USB drive. Your USB drive might come up with a different name. This already has Debian on it, so that's the existing OS, but we wanna boot from this removable drive, not the onboard storage. So we're gonna hit enter, and that's gonna boot into our Debian system on the flash drive. We get this graphical install thing, hit enter, go for the graphical install, and you might have to wait a second here. Now we're gonna install Debian, which is pretty straightforward. I'm just gonna select English for the language, United States for the country, American English for the keyboard. Of course, change these if you need to for wherever you might be. And we might have to wait a second here. Next, if you plugged right into your router, you can use the Ethernet or select your wireless adapter. So I'm gonna do that and set up the Wi-Fi. Select the network that is yours from the list and then go for PSK, which is enter a password for the Wi-Fi. Type your Wi-Fi password. Now you can set whatever host name you want here. I'm gonna do HexBox 11, and domain name I'm gonna leave blank. And the root password, enter something that you won't forget. The username can be anything you want. I'm gonna use the username Hex and hit continue. Oh, that was the name. Here's the username. Basically, you can just use the same thing. Now a password for that user account. Again, do something you won't forget. Next up is time zone. I'm gonna go Eastern time. Okay, now it's time to do the disk partitioning. I'm gonna use the entire disk here, hit continue. Note that's not the default. The largest continuous free space, there might not be any free space, so you'll probably get an error. We're gonna wipe the whole thing. So hit continue and select your onboard storage. This is the drive we booted from. We want the onboard storage here. Hit continue, and all files in one partition is fine for now. Okay, this is your last chance to not overwrite your data. Anything that's stored on this guy is about to get wiped. Last chance. Hit continue, and it's gonna go ahead. Oh, okay, you did actually have one more chance. Now you're really done for if you have stuff on here you want. It's getting wiped. And yeah, just let it go. All right, package manager config. I'm gonna go with United States, and the top option for mirrors is fine for me. Proxy, I don't have one. If you're in a corporate environment, maybe you have one, and we'll continue. All right, popularity contest is, they're collecting data on package use. Notice how the default is no. Wow, how great is that? So if you wanna volunteer your data, you can, but it's no by default. I'm gonna keep it that way. Hit continue. Now here's for specifically this project where we're gonna change things around. If this is just a daily driver Linux computer, then you can keep this checked as is, but I'm gonna uncheck the desktop environment and GNOME. So this is gonna make it a lot more lightweight and faster. And then SSH server, I'm gonna check that. And the first thing we're gonna do is set up remote access so we don't have to be clicking around on this thing, and we can be at the comfort of our own laptop computer. So let's continue. Okay, done installing. Go ahead and unplug this. And now you can hit continue to reboot. Okay, first boot into the new system we just imaged, and no need to hit escape or anything. And now you can just hit enter, or there's a timer down here. Oh, it ran out. So you don't actually have to do anything. And now it's booting up. Okay, only a couple quick commands on here. First of all, log in with your username and password. Next, we'll do systemctl status SSH. And this is just to check SSH is running. You can see it's green. That's good. Next, type apaddr. That's going to show your IP address. And you can see your wireless interface you configured has an address right here, 10.0.0.127. And that's actually all we need. So you can type exit, and now you're logged out. Let's get over to our comfortable laptop setup. Okay, open up PowerShell on Windows or Terminal on Mac and Linux, and you're gonna write SSH, your username that you selected, in my case Hex, @ the IP address that came up. Hopefully you wrote it down. And this is gonna be the same command for all three actually, Windows, Mac, and Linux. Hit enter, and you're gonna type whatever your password is, and you're in. So we're ready to run some commands on the computer without having to sit in front of it. Next, we're gonna install Podman. You can also install Docker if you want to, but I'm a Podman fan. So use SU to switch into the root account, and then type apt update, and it's gonna run a package update. Next, type apt install-y podman, and podman compose. Separate them by spaces, hit enter, and wait for it to install. And we're done being root, so you can exit. One more step that I forgot here, and this is very important. You're gonna run su-c in quotes loginctl enable linger user, or you can just type your username. Hit enter, type the password if you need to. This allows you to close the terminal and still have Immich running in the background. So we'll definitely need that. Make sure you do this step. Next, we're going to walk through the steps for the quick start guide for Immich. It's at docs.immich.app/overview/quick start. I'm going to make some tweaks, but otherwise it's going to be mostly the same. Back to the terminal, we're going to run makedir-p services/Immich. I'm making a services directory because I know in future videos you're going to want to host more things than just Immich. You're going to want to self-host a lot of stuff. So cd into services/Immich, and now we will paste the wget command from the install guide right in here. That's going to download the Docker Compose file. And you can see right here, compose.yaml has been saved. Now we're going to download the env file, paste this in here, and you can see you have a compose file and an env file. I actually renamed this to compose. In yours, it might be docker-compose, doesn't really matter. I just think it's cleaner. Okay, now we're going to use nano, which is a text editor on .env. If you know how to use Vim, feel free to use that instead. And all we're going to do is change this DB password to something secure and random. You can use a password generator, or you can type a bunch of random letters. Just make sure there's no special characters. That might mess things up. And it says to only use these characters. Anyway, just put something in there other than the default, and then type Control-O. That is going to write the file, hit enter, and now hit Control-X to get out of here. Otherwise, it's just like a normal text editor. Next, we'll run podman compose up-d, and that's going to kick off the containers. It's going to pull them first, so we might have to wait a moment for these to pull. Okay, it's done, which means it's coming up now. Now we're going to do logs-f. Podman compose logs-f, hit enter, and now you can see it as it's coming online. All right, it might take a few minutes, but once this says Immich microservices is running, you're good to go. I think you can exit out of this, Control-C to stop monitoring the logs, or you can leave them running and watch what it does when you open up your browser. Either way, open your browser and type in the IP address from before. You can see it's in my history here, 10.0.0.127 in my case, and then you're going to add a colon at the end of the IP and type 2283. Hit enter, and here we are. We have this welcome screen with Immich, which is really cool. And you can go ahead and fill in this form with your data and make sure you don't forget it. All set. Okay, hit sign up. And now we need to log in with those credentials. Okay, we're in. Now we can follow the guide. I like dark mode. I like the English language. You can turn these off if you really don't want it reaching out to any external services, but I think these are reasonable. It's up to you. Same for user privacy. You can turn on or off the ability to use Google Cast. I'm sure this is editable later. Storage template. I don't even know what this is. I think you can just skip it. 3-2-1 backup. I'll cover this in a future video, but you definitely should be backing this up because you don't want one copy of your data floating around. You want multiple, and you want to be backing it up constantly. So mobile app, you can download the mobile app, and now we're done. And we're good to go. So we can copy in our first couple images. Let's try it. All right, I'm going to drag over my first image. Perfect. A memory that I never want to forget is now here. And you can see how similar this is to Google Photos. You can see you get this nice little timeline down here. So if you upload multiple photos, it'll be in different folders. I just want to show you how to back this up and how all that is set up. Now click up to your username in the top right, go to administration. We're going to first look at database dump settings. You can see that it automatically backs up every day at 2 a.m. But if we go to job queues and we hit create job, we can go ahead and say create database dump and hit create, and it's going to do it. You can also do other things like calculate thumbnails and detect people. But if you go back to your terminal here, and we're back in our Immich folder, if you cd into library and cd into backups, you can see that the backup was created just now. And in a future video, again, we're going to want to back up this library folder to cloud storage so that we can have an offsite backup of this, because this is really the crown jewel. It's all of your data. And inside of it, it contains these backups of the database of Immich, which allows you to restore these. It also includes the actual raw files. All your data is right in that library folder. And soon we will see how to back this up so that even if this device explodes or melts, or is otherwise no longer accessible, you'll still have a copy of your data. And if we're going to take back tech and if we're going to start self-hosting things, that responsibility now falls on us. Data centers, as much as people hate on them, are nice because they don't go away typically, and you don't have to think about how to back up your data. So if you're going down the self-hosting path, you got to think about these things, and we'll get to it soon. I recommend you try powering it off and back on so that you know how to recover from a power failure. All we have to do is SSH into the device again, cd services/Immich, and we're going to do Podman compose down to get a clean restart here. So that kind of simulated, hey, we actually went down properly. Now we're going to do Podman compose up-D, just like we did before. Let all these images get created. It's a lot faster this time. It doesn't have to pull. And of course you can check the logs and monitor as it comes up, but you don't have to. At this point you can log out, access it from the browser when it's ready in a few minutes. There it is, came right up and we're back. So finally recovered and we're good to go. Final reminder, if you want to skip all those steps and get this exact box mailed right to you, and if you're in the USA, starting just with the US, sorry, go ahead and go to tryhexbox.com/photos, and I'll send you this photo edition to you, and it'll be ready to go right out of the box. Happy to help you set it up, all that stuff. Only selling one right now, but in the future, I might have more products available at that URL, so stay tuned. That's it for this video. Go to tryhexbox.com and join the waitlist if you want to be informed on the HexBox in the future. Also, huge thanks to everyone who subscribed. This is incredible. I can't believe it went to 11K subscribers in like 2 weeks. It over tripled, almost quadrupled. That's really heartening. It took me 8 years to get to 3,000 and then 2 weeks to get to almost 12,000. So that's super cool. Thanks for supporting, and see you in the next video.